están? Para todos los que me conocen y los que no me conocen, yo soy Alitzade y el día de hoy vamos a tener una entrevista con otra de nuestras abogadas de inmigración. Ella se llama Natalie y pertenece a la compañía LegalPilot. Las preguntas que vamos a estar resolviendo son preguntas que ustedes enviaron a nuestra página o al correo sobre visaTN. Sin embargo, si ustedes quieren que se estén contestando otro tipo de preguntas sobre otras visas, ya sean de turista, H1 o H2, lo pueden hacer. Ya saben, solamente tienen que escribirlas y enviarlas a alitzadeb86@gmail.com o también pueden enviarlas a través de nuestra página en Facebook en lo mejor de 3 Mundos. Y pues yo ahorita me voy a ir a cambiar porque no quiero que me vean en estas fechas. Sin embargo, no olviden de suscribirse, darle a la campanita para recibir las notificaciones de los próximos videos que vamos a estar subiendo. Igual de regalarnos un like y compartirlo para que más personas puedan saber sobre los temas. Les pedimos que nos regalen el like en YouTube, no por otra cosa, sino para que este video permanezca dentro de los que más visitan y no diga YouTube, este video no sirve y lo bote por ahí, sino que puede ser de utilidad para muchas otras personas. Y ¿qué me faltaría? Nada más me falta decirles que nos envíen también las preguntas para Canadá, porque ya estamos trabajando con una de las expertas también en el tema de inmigración. Y pues vamos a darle. So, do you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, that'd be great. So my name is Natalie and I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for many years now. And before, I was helping bigger corporations like Amazon and Uber, HSBC, kind of banks and things like that. But while I was practicing, I saw this really big need in the immigration context. And mainly that, people to get, the information that they need so that they can get visas, both to work in the United States, but also to be with their families and things like that. And so I started my company to try to increase access to those legal services that people need, and that, the employers need it, the employees need it, and families need it. So my, company is dedicated to making the immigration process as easy and affordable as possible for employers, employees, and families.
So how did you decide to start to involve with the TN visas?
Yeah, so we started with the TN visas a lot because, being in the United States and bordering Canada and Mexico, there is such a need for these TN visas to be processed quickly and accurately. And the number of people who are able to work in the US in critical occupations on the TN visa is only increasing. And so that was one of the reasons that we looked at the TN visa. One of the other reasons is that a lot of times employers or attorneys even go straight to look at the H-1B, specialty occupation visa. And the thing that people don't realize all the time is that the H-1B visa, one of the downsides is that you have to go through a lottery process. And so only a certain number of people get that visa every year. And so about a third of people who apply get it, and that leaves 2/3 who don't actually get the H-1B visa. And so that's tens of thousands of people who applied, and now they can't do that job because of the lottery system. But with the TN visa, there isn't that lottery. And so it's an incredible way to skip the lottery process and to get an amazing work visa in the US that can be extended indefinitely.
Oh, yeah. Yes, what I hear that with the H1, you only can stay here maybe for 3 years. And with the TN visa, it's unlimited. So it's better if you have the TN visa. You got more possibilities with the TN visa. What other chances you have with the TN visa?
Yeah, so I think, with the TN visa, you get to skip the lottery, and then you can get your initial approval for up to 3 years, and then you can extend it indefinitely. So unlike the H-1B, which will run out, so you've got your 3 years and you can extend it once more, with the TN visa, you can extend it for as many years as you like. The other great thing about the TN visa is that you can bring your family members with you on the TD visa. And so if you have a spouse or any children who are under 21 years of age, then they get to come with you while you live and work in the United States. And so that's another great benefit that you get with the TN visa. The other thing is that you can get the TN visa pretty quickly. So while we have the H-1B and the lottery happens once a year, you can get that TN visa approval year-round. And the process changes a little bit depending on whether you're outside of the United States, so in Canada or Mexico, or inside of the United States. But generally speaking, it's much faster, and you don't have to wait till that lottery in the spring to be able to get your visa. And so that's another great benefit of being on the TN visa.
What kind of people could have the TN visa? You said only Mexican or Canadians?
Yeah, so that's one of the critical aspects of the TN visa, is that you have to be Canadian or Mexican to be able to get the TN visa. And that's because the TN visa originated under NAFTA, so the North American Free Trade Agreement. And so it's an agreement that was created between the United States, Canada, and Mexico to allow this interchange of employees more readily than with some of the other countries. So even the rest of Central America, Europe, things like that, it's not as easy. And so, so with the TN visa under NAFTA, you have to be Canadian or Mexican. And then the other aspect of it is that you have to fall into one of the professions under NAFTA. And there are 60 different professions. They run a whole scope of things. So you can be anything from a management consultant to a soil scientist under the TN NAFTA visa. But what's important is that you fall under one of these 60 professions, and they are professions. So unlike maybe somebody who just wants to go to be an agricultural worker, here you typically have a bachelor's degree or similar and have the criteria to actually be able to practice in the profession in question. And then what happens is the employer who needs you needs to hire you for that profession. And so the consulates, they'll look and make sure that you're actually going to work in a role that fits with your background.
Interesting. So you need to have any degree could have the TN visa. So not other people can have it.
Yeah, so not everybody can have it. And so they call it the TN NAFTA professional visa for a reason. You have to be a working professional. And there are some job categories that have some exceptions for you to not have a university degree, but by and large, you really need that university degree to have it. And so we're looking for professionals, so veterinarians, scientists, lawyers, management consultants, things along those lines will get you eligible for the TN NAFTA visa.
Okay. So with these questions, we do it a lot, but I don't know if you agree if we start with some questions that the people asking specifically only for you.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
So, okay. So this is other question. Said, I'm entered to the country as a tourist visa. Can I change to TD visa without leaving the States?
Yes, you can. And this is actually something that has become really, really popular right now and important with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. So people coming into the US, especially on tourist visas, and you don't want to have to travel. So you don't want to have to go back to Mexico to be able to change that visa status. And so what we can do is actually use a process through what's called the Form I-539, the application to extend or change status. And so we can actually take your tourist visa status and change it into the TD visa status. And so you can do all of that within the United States. And what's great is that, so let's say you're here on your tourist visa, and your tourist visa, let's say it expires in 30 days. Well, the process to change your status, it takes about 6 months. Okay. But as soon as you file, then you will still be lawfully present in the US, even if your tourist visa runs out. And so as soon as you file for that change of status, then you're good to go to be in the United States until the USCIS reaches a decision on your application to change status. And so again, if anybody's here on their B1 or B2 and they need to change status, I highly recommend that route. It'll keep you and your family safe and make sure you can be in the US lawfully.
So that form, the E-539, gonna help anybody that stay right now at the United States for the COVID-19? They gonna extend their status or they gonna change their status?
Yeah, so the form I-539, that's what we use when we file with USCIS. And it exists even outside of the coronavirus times. It's just become even more important right now so that you don't have to travel all the way back to a different country and then re-enter and possibly expose yourself or even expose your family to the virus. Instead, you can do everything while staying in the United States.
That's awesome. That sounds good for everybody that is staying right now.
So it is really important. And so, yeah, so if there's one takeaway from this, it's, hey, if you need to extend or change status, you can do it within the US to keep yourself and your family safe.
And she can do it, so please.
Yeah, if you need help, come to us.
Okay, the next one. How a TN visa can add a second employer?
Yeah, so that is one thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you're on the TN visa, you can't have two employers. And so you actually add that second employer through the same process that you did for your initial employer. And the process will be a little bit different depending on whether you're doing it from within the United States or if you're doing it within Canada or Mexico. So if you're doing it within Canada or Mexico and if you applied for your original TN visa, then it's going to be pretty much the same process. The one thing that I'll kind of remind people though is that when they go to their interview at the border, they want to make sure that they let the officials know that they want to keep that initial employer that they also applied with. And so that's one of the most important things. So you have to redo, the application and everything for the new employer, and then you just got to make sure that everybody knows, okay, hey, it's two employers. I want to keep both of them here for my TN visa. And then if you're doing it within the United States, we go through a slightly different process. And what we do is we prepare an application through what's called Form I-129. And I know immigration, can be hard keeping all of these numbers and everything straight, but yeah, just remember there's a different form that we use when you're filing within the US, but you can. So you can file within the US. So let's say somebody comes and they're working for one employer in their TN visa and they have an opportunity to also work with another employer. Well, without leaving the country, you can add that second employer and also work for them at the same time. And we just kind of go through a slightly different application process and fill out some paperwork and send it in just within the US.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have this question because, we receive a lot about it. And the question that I have too is because they say, how can they combine the two employers? Because, here they need to have full time. So they asking if they need to have part-time and part-time with the other employer for have the 8 hours that they need to do it every single day.
Yeah.
For that.
One of the things is actually you can work part-time. So you could have two part-time employers. You could have one part-time employer and that would still be okay. And so one of the things with navigating that, beyond just the immigration issues itself, is just making sure that both employers are on board, that they know, and you've kind of worked it out with them, like, okay, hey, I'm working, for you as a veterinarian, Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday, and I'm going to go work for this other farm as their veterinarian for the other half of the week. So more so than being an immigration issue, it really just becomes an issue of, hey, are you making sure that you're navigating both employers and that they're both okay with how you're splitting your time? That ends up being more just a practical employer relationship issue than anything else.
So the employers needs to be in the same area, in the same state for that, because you can say, I stay working in Ohio and now I need to go to work in Kentucky. So that is
so they wouldn't necessarily have to be. So let's imagine I'm a management consultant, and I go to work for my one main company, and it turns out, hey, they only need me part-time. Well, if I want to also consult for another company, then let's say they want to do it remotely. That's going to be okay. And so they don't necessarily have to be in the same area in terms of kind of navigating the TN visa issues and the immigration issues. Now, again, it does kind of become an employer-employee issue. You know, you would just need to make sure, okay, hey, can I work remotely? Is that okay? You know, would that work for you? So it's more logistically on the employee side than anything else. Yeah.
And they can add in this employer in the States, or they need to go out again?
You can add it within the U.S. And so, for instance, so this is actually something that ends up becoming quite common, because I work with a lot of startups and small companies. And so a lot of times they'll recruit recent college grads. And, you know, as kind of the company is shifting and changing, there is, okay, hey, you know, I only actually need you part-time. But so, you know, with the TN employee, then they say, okay, hey, you know, I have all this extra time. I would really love to get more experience with this other company. And so, you know, I had one individual who was an incredible marketer. And so she was doing marketing for one company, you know, was initially doing it full time. The company then didn't need it in the off season full time. And so she was able to apply within the United States for this other company. And so what we did is we just took the form, you know, I-129 and prepared that, and were able to do that just all within the U.S. No problems. She didn't have to go home or anything like that.
Okay. That sounds very interesting for all the people that wants to add it, because, you know, sometimes they want to earn more money.
Absolutely.
So that's going to help for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and you know, so that a lot of times is one of the reasons that most people do it. And again, yep, you can do it within the U.S. And the other nice thing is that it's not as fast as when you go to the border. But when you file the I-129, it typically takes a couple months. Right now, we're seeing a little bit longer time. So in a normal world, we're looking at about 2 months, and you can even request expedited processing and get a decision within 15 days. And so as soon as you have that approval, then at the moment you get that approval, then you can start working for that second employer.
Okay. The other question that they sent is, my TN visa expires in November. My E-94 is not expired yet, but I'm gonna marry it in a month. Can I process my partner as a TD visa without renewing TN visa because my I-94 is currently valid?
Okay, so the important thing is that the TN visa is valid or going to be extended. And so that admission, so once you're admitted to the US, then you'll get the date and you'll know how long that visa is valid for. And for the TD visa is dependent on that valid TN visa. So for your spouse to be able to apply and to be able to get that TD visa, you do have to have that valid TN visa work permission in order to do that. So you just want to make sure that both of those coincide. And typically what you could end up doing is, if you know you're just about to get married, you want your spouse to come to the US, and you know you don't necessarily want to have to travel back home, something like that, then you can typically just ask your employer, you know, if you can go ahead and apply for an extension within the US. And then as soon as you apply for that extension, then you can still be able to get your spouse's TD visa.
Okay. Yeah, because, well, this lady said she's gonna travel to Mexico and she wants to marry it, but she don't wants to renew the TN visa. She only wants to get the TD visa for the partner. Okay. Because the E-94, it's currently working right now. So I don't know. She don't say when it's expire. She only say in a year, but maybe it's 2 years more. We don't know. She don't send that part.
So that those two things have to overlap. And for your I-94, that's showing how long your period of admission is valid for. And if you don't have it on you or something like that, you can go to the CPB website and you can just input your information and you can immediately get a web pull-up of your I-94. And so I think it's good practice to even have that date written down in your phone. You know exactly when that expires, and so you can plan ahead. Typically if you want to extend within the United States, it's recommended you even try to do that, 3 to 6 months in advance. And so just have that in the back of your mind. And for some reason you don't have your I-94, you're not sure what that date is, go to the CPB website and you can look it up right there. And I highly recommend doing that today, making sure you've got that date in mind.
The other question is, how long does it take to change an employer between the states?
Okay. So the situation we have here, we have the employees in the U.S. and they're working, and now they want to change employers. Okay, so in that situation, again, we're preparing Form I-129, and in our typical world, it's going to take about 2 months. And so you just want, about 2 months, and you just want to plan ahead. So you want to make sure that your visa isn't going to expire. And again, go look at that I-94 date. And so you want to make sure that that's not going to expire, and then it takes about 2 months for USCIS to process that application. But if you wanted to, you could apply for what's called premium processing. So premium processing, it's only available for certain types of applications, but it's available for this I-129 when you go to switch employers. And what it does is it forces you pay a bunch of money and it makes USCIS go faster.
Okay.
So it's about $1,400, and you pay this money for premium processing. USCIS speeds up their decision process, and you're guaranteed to get a decision within 15 days. And so that means that you can file, and within 15 days you can get that approval and start working for your new employer right then.
Okay, but you need to pay more.
You do need to pay more. So one of the things I like to caution people is that when you pay for this premium processing, all it does is it speeds up the process. So if you plan a little bit ahead, you can avoid that cost and still be completely fine in changing your employer and everything like that. The other thing is that you pay all this money, but it doesn't give you a better approval odds or anything like that. So USCIS isn't more likely to approve your application. Literally all it's doing is it's taking, a 2 to 3 month process and just condensing it into 15 days. So if it's a really urgent job that you have to start immediately or something like that, then premium processing can be really valuable. But if it's something where you have those couple months, you've planned ahead, something like that, then I don't recommend premium processing.
Okay, don't do it premium process.
Yeah, it's expensive and it doesn't improve your odds. So I'm more about, hey, let's save the cash, plan ahead.
Yeah, you want to keep your money, don't do it the process premium.
Yeah.
The other question is, what is a work permit?
I think a lot of times we hear people talking about work permits too, especially when we have spouses or dependents of people who are already here on their work visas. So for instance, somebody who is in the United States on a TD visa, they're not allowed to work. And so you can't apply for any other type of work permit. Now, some other types of occupations, some other types of employment visa types, those family members, sometimes, depending on the visa type, they can work in some instances. And so they would apply for kind of that traditional work permit. But bottom line is, if you're here on a TN visa, you're good to go to work.
Okay, so it's gonna that the work permit, the employers, I don't know, they do it before the TN visas come to work here?
Yeah, so the work permit is, think of it just as the second that you get your, you get your I-94, you're at the consulate at the border, everything gets stamped, you have work authorization. So you can look at that as your work permit. The employer isn't going to apply for anything independent of the visa type that you're already getting.
Yeah, it's because the next question is, what is the difference between a TN work permit and a residence work permit?
Yeah, so I think here, what we would want to distinguish is between, being on a TN NAFTA visa and being in the United States as a legal permanent resident. So once you're here in the United States as a legal permanent resident, that means you're a green card holder. And so you're authorized to work with just any job that you need to. You don't necessarily have to fit those qualifications that we have under NAFTA for those TN NAFTA visas. And so that's one big difference between kind of being here on a TN NAFTA visa as opposed to being in the United States as a legal permanent resident or a U.S. citizen.
Okay. And I think that is the last one. It's very longer.
Yeah.
If I just got my E94 from this company, from any company that he's working currently, and I'm start a change to another company, so I'm still waiting that, but all my documents are in the UCs right now. Will I have any problem if I travel to Mexico right now?
Yeah, so this is important. Okay, so typically when we have, typically when you're here, and let's say you just came on your regular TN NAFTA visa, it's good for 3 years. It says that date right on your I-94, your arrival departure record. Then you can travel back and forth between Mexico and the United States as much as you want while the I-94 is current. It changes a little bit when you've applied while you're in the U.S. To extend your stay or to change your status. Okay, so if you do that while you're in the U.S. And you need to change, so you need to either extend or change status when you're in the U.S., then it's typically actually not advised that you travel. And the reason is that it becomes a little complicated when you're at the border. So it's not considered, so if you apply to extend or something like that, then it doesn't consider that you're abandoning your application when you travel back to Mexico. But what you need to do is, if your extension is pending, then you're going to have to request that there's a notification that goes to that consular office abroad where you'll re-enter the U.S. And so you need to have that communication between U.S. entities and that consular office abroad about what's going on with the extension. So things just get a little bit more complicated. And so what I actually recommend is that once you apply to extend, it's just easier. So when there's no confusion, nothing like that. So once you apply to extend, I typically recommend hey, hang out in the U.S. while that's pending. And as soon as it's approved and all of that, then you don't have any problem traveling back and forth.
Okay, and we got one more. What's it? Okay, it's in Spanish. I need to translate.
Don't worry.
That one. Okay, the last one said, can I change my employer at the CBP in the border?
Yes. So what happens there is, what happens is that you will have applied for a new TN work permit with that employer. And so what you would do then is, so you're back in Canada or Mexico, and you go through that TN application process again, and you present that application, and the border, the consular officers will look at that application, with fresh eyes and decide whether or not to approve you to work on a TN visa with that employer. And so it works the same as, when you went to get TN visa the first time, if you had applied within your home country of Canada or Mexico.
Okay. And that's the last one.
All right. Well,
so would you like to share with us the company where you're working, all your dates for all the people that maybe show you and they want to do it all the work with you?
Yes. So my company, we're called LegalPilot, and it's our goal to make this process as quick, easy, and affordable as possible. And so that's what we're all about. And so I, as the attorney, obviously we have all of the legal expertise that you need, and then we also try to use software and technology as much as we can to help speed up the process. And so that's what makes us a little bit different. And that's why we're able to do what we do. And, I would really encourage anybody who has additional questions to reach out. And if you're looking to extend your visa while you stay in the United States, whether it's for you or a family member, or you're still outside of the country and you need to apply for that TN NAFTA visa, we're here to help. And I love getting questions from people, and I'm always happy to hop on a call as we all navigate this process together.
Yeah, and you can be very sure that she's gonna be taking very fast and very careful everything, because she got a lot of experience. You can hear that. She's so sweet. She's so patient. So you could feel very, very handled about she. She's care about you.
Yep. I honestly, genuinely care. Every single person that we work with is incredibly important, because everybody's got a different reason for needing the visa. And, it's at the end of the day, it's about work and it's about family. And those are two of the most important things that we all experience in our lives. And we're just here to make that easier for people.
Yeah, I can understand. You are really, really sweet person.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well,
yeah, it's a very pleasure to know you.
Yeah, it's great meeting you too. And it's been such a pleasure to talk with you tonight. And I'm incredibly excited for your career path as well. You're going to help so many people in the medical arena, and so it's been an absolute pleasure. So as always, any more questions, please feel free to come back, send those my way, and anything else I can do to help the community, just let me know.
And she's studying Spanish, so the next time she could do it in Spanish.
That's true. All right. For anybody in the community who has had to endure a call with me in Spanish, I apologize up front. But studying.
No, I'm working in my English, so I'm still improving that. So we are okay.
Yeah, that's the goal. The next call, it'll be in Spanish. I promise.
Okay, well, that's all for me, and I very appreciated that you take the time to bring me this and explain everything to all the people. I really, really appreciated that you take this time for us.
Yep, of course. All right, I will talk to you soon, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.